interesting, some of you not, and maybe some of you simply don't care, which is okay. But I think you will find that religion has been a very good business for a very, very long time. Some people make a lot of money. Do you know why? Why is religion such a good business? Come on, wake up for a few seconds. I don't know, do any of you have any religion, like you believe in a God of some kind? That's fine if you do. I think religion is good. I think it's kind of like part of the fabric of society. It's what kept society and people together and for the most part sane for such a long time. I think you will realize that humanity or people through their evolution have gone through terrible times, famines, disasters of all kinds, accidents, wars, diseases, you name it. And it would have been very, very difficult for humanity, especially conscious human beings like ourselves, to survive and stay sane without clinging to some kind of a god or belief in a superpower that's out there protecting us and taking care of our needs. Even though realistically, if you look around the world, it's quite obvious to me that nobody's really taking care of us. We're basically just taking care of ourselves. It's nice, however, to think that there is something or someone out there that's looking out for your best interest, and you can pray and you can win the lottery, or you can pray and get a good job, or you can pray and get an A on your exam, but that's not how things really work in reality, you know. However, studies have shown that people that do have some kind of a belief and pray for certain things tend to fare out better overall. Not necessarily that they get what they pray for, but there's this positivity that comes from beliefs which sort of comforts those people that have a belief. And for example, let's say they pray for something and they don't get it, right? Or they fail. And what's the next thing that happens? Well, instead of them being depressed and you know, becoming suicidal or anything like that, they opt to go to the next level of their subconsciousness and beliefs, which says, don't worry, it's God's plan, or don't worry, it wasn't God's plan for you to get this or to do this. So that pretty much kind of gives them relief and solves many problems for people. So because of this phenomenon, religion is continuing to be a good business and will continue to sell, and people will continue, some people will continue to buy it. And I think some religions or certain beliefs, they find ways to align technology and global opportunities with their customers. And I'm going to explain to you that, and I think it's a very interesting business model that some religions come up with. And this goes back all the way to the indulgences. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Roman Catholic Church. How many of you know who the Pope is in Rome? Well, not Rome, Vatican. but Vatican is in Rome. How many of you know the Pope? He's like a leading religious figure. Okay, you can. Now we have Pope Francis. So they change from time to time, just like presidents change. And some are better, some are worse. Just like all human beings. But that's not really the important thing. Is not who the Pope is right now. The important thing is what the Roman Catholic Church has done over the years. And I think the Roman Catholic Church is solely responsible for the Dark Ages. You've heard of the Dark Ages, right? Like a period of time in Europe when things were going really, really bad. Science was not progressing because the Catholic Church was clamping down or restricting scientific freedom. And in any case, one interesting thing that the church did at the time is they were able to convince people to pay money to the church, so their sins or their bad deeds or the bad things that they committed towards one another or towards society, whatnot, their bad behavior and bad things could be forgiven if they pay a certain amount. So the higher the amount, it means the more sins you could pay for, or the bigger the sin, the more you could pay, and so on and so forth. So today, there's this website, and I'm going to put it up for you. Okay, this website, Share Him, it's a very interesting business model, because what they do is quite ingenious and quite unique. And for those of you that never heard of them, they're a website which connects people in wealthy countries with opportunities to go and speak to poor people from poor countries. For a fee, of course. So if you want to go and, if you have diarrhea of the mouth, in other words, if you like to ramble about anything and everything, especially if you like to ramble about God, then you can go to this website and pay them a fee, and they will connect you with places, poor places around the world where people are gullible and people are, uneducated. And you can tell those people basically anything you want. Well, it has to be about God, but you can tell them any fancy ideas about angels, beliefs, so on and so forth. And what's interesting about this business model? Sometimes many people go and speak to the same crowd, and they don't know that the crowd is actually lured to go there to listen to them, because they get some, small things. They might get some goods, or they might even get a little bit of money, and so on and so forth. How I know about this? I went on a kind of a volunteer trip to India, and a long time ago, and that's how I learned about this. At that time, I used to be involved with a church in Taipei, so they have actually helped with my expenses, and with accommodation and all that. So it was kind of nice because I actually got to go and do some good things. I went and I spoke to people, not necessarily about God, but I spoke to them about health because people in that place were eating very unhealthy. So I managed to find useful and purposeful things to talk about rather than just talk about angels and burning in hell for an eternity, and or burning in hell even for a second. Stuff that I think it's pretty relevant today. So I try to do more relevant things and speak to people about their problems, which were eating too much sugar, too much food that was fried, and all these sorts of problems. And what's interesting is that I think these people, just like the Roman Catholic Church back in the days, they know that this is just business, and they don't have any problem doing this over and over again. And the thing about the speakers that go to supposedly make the people living in the third world aware about God and God's love, they don't realize that they're speaking to fake audiences. In other words, some of these audiences, they have gone through maybe 10 of the same, or maybe even 20 of the same events, different speakers from around the world, and this is pretty much just a money scheme, and the people that set up this business, this religious business, they're actually making pretty good money. Back in the days, I think it was about $1,200 to $1,500 to register for this this kind of event, and then you had to pay for your own plane ticket. So you can imagine what $1,500 can do to a poor. You can do a lot with 1,500 in a place like India, but India is not the only place. You can actually choose to go to countries in Africa, countries in Central and South America. Anywhere where there's poor and uneducated people that would pretty much do anything for $5 and believe anything for maybe even less than that. So why do you think it's so easy to convince poor people to believe not only religious fantasies, but pretty much anything? I mean, you look at the news and you look at the media, and I mean, most of the things they talk about, it's pretty much fake news and propaganda and nonsense. And I think that the main reason is business people that are successful and are busy, they don't have time to pay attention to the nonsense in the media. Although I think because the smart business people have allowed, they were focusing too much on business and making money, and they have allowed the media to go cuckoo, basically. Now they're paying the price. Now, pretty much all businesses are affected by the media, in the sense that you have to hire what is it, like diversity officers, which will force you basically and ruin your reputation if you don't, to hire people based on diversity and not on merit, especially in places and countries that are they have a lot of ethnic groups or a lot of races and people from around the world and stuff like that. Fortunately for Taiwan, people here have a high IQ. Most Asians, East Asians that is, have an IQ of 104 or above, and they don't have to deal with a lot of multicultural diversity where you have some groups of people that have pretty low IQ and they're simply not capable of doing certain things and certain jobs as good as other people. But unfortunately you have to hire them because you have all these diversity officers that can ruin your reputation and your company's business if you don't. So this is, I believe, the fault of the smart people and the business people that chose not to focus on the real problems of the society and the media when they should have. And unfortunately the media has gone cuckoo, and you know, they're creating all these problems, especially problems where people are not hired in jobs based on merit or based on their abilities, but they're hired based on, you know, ridiculous things like having a certain background or ethnicity or race and so on and so forth. Not that I have anything against races. I love all races, and I love all kinds of people, but I think that we should keep it reasonable and civil, and we should hire people based on merit and based on their abilities, no matter where you are and where you live and what kind of business you're dealing with. So well, this is one issue that we're dealing with. Business and how businesses, even businesses that are successful, have their own issues and their own problems, and individuals that are capable and smart, they don't always focus on what's important. And it goes back to haunt them in the end. Now there's something else that I want to talk about, and some of you may find it a little bit funny, but real business, not the business of religion, but real business like high-tech business, science, especially science. Okay, science is also a business, and it's a pretty profitable business, especially when it comes to medical technology and medical supplies and pharmaceuticals and drugs. So when you take something like religion and science, okay, two separate businesses, and you try to force the issue and say that the two can somehow coexist or live in peace and harmony, this is really pretty much a one-night stand when it comes down to it, because you can't have someone that is radicalized by religion. Take for example, like any religion, you know, it could be, some of course are a lot more serious than others, but if you take like a radicalized Muslim person that's ready to kill others and blow himself up or even herself up, you know, there's women that have done it too, so there's finally equality in Islam. When you take someone like that and you try to put them in an environment with people that are scientists and scientifically educated and people that are rational and normal, there's just no way that these two can have more than a, you know, prophetic one-night stand, or a metaphoric one-night stand. So this is something that I wanted to bring up. I think that religion is definitely something important and we need to talk about. There are moderate and perhaps useful beliefs and religions that, for example, if you look at Christianity, Christianity is what created the Enlightenment and Illuminism. It's what, that's where scientific progress and technology and modernity comes from. And we do have religion to thank to, especially Christianity. Also some of the religions from the East, like Buddhism, I find very interesting and quite intriguing. I like to do yoga sometimes and meditation, and I think Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism are very practical and they're very peaceful and very, well, they're peaceful religions. They're not forcing anyone to do as they think or to convert, or if you want to leave the religion, you're going to be prosecuted or persecuted or killed by anyone or harmed in any way, like other religions. So I hope that you've learned some interesting, or you were made aware of some important aspects in regards to religion, and we should be aware of the fact that we can try to make others aware of this issue.